Hi, welcome back to my channel. Let's talk about my May TBR. So this May, I am participating in Mashed Potato May, which is a month where you read books that are either on your backlist or things that you're super excited about, but you've been saving to the end of your meal or your TBR, if you will, like a mashed potato. This term was coined by Ariel and Raeleen over at Books Unbound, and I'm so excited to dive in. I've been watching their YouTube editions of their podcast for the last year or so, and I started right after Mashed Potato May last year, so I'm so excited to actually be able to participate this year. And I have quite the TBR ahead of me. I don't know that I'm going to get to all of these books, but these are the ones that are on the forefront of my mind. So let's start with Jade City by Fonda Lee. This book has been on my shelf for at least a year and a half, if not longer. This series has really called out to me, and I intentionally waited for the third book in the trilogy to come out because I just have this feeling that once I start this, I'm going to end up reading all three of them, which isn't a bad thing. I'm so excited. I have not had myself super immersed in a fantasy series as a whole since the Poppy War series by R.F. Kuang. So hopefully this does some more things for me. I'm not expecting it to be the same in any capacity in that way. I just mean that I hope it grasps my attention and I spend an entire weekend locked inside with a cup of tea and a blanket and just like ripping through these pages. So, for those of you that don't know, it follows the Green Bone Warriors. They have used Jade as a magic enhancement, and now they're having an issue with foreign invasion on their island. And we are specifically, I believe, following one family, yes, the Call family, and there are four siblings in that family preparing for battle and to hopefully keep control of their city. So I'm excited to dive into that. And then in a very different direction is Bride by Allie Hazelwood. Allie Hazelwood and I don't have the best track record, but I want to give her another shot. I want to see how she does expanding into a new for her genre. Bride follows a werewolf and a vampire who enter a marriage of convenience for, I'm sure, a number of reasons. I've intentionally stayed away from so many reviews and synopses of this book because what I found with Allie Hazelwood books is that people can't synopsize them without giving away major things. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just because I think previously her books have been so similar that once you've read one of them, you've kind of read them all. But because this one's so different, I intentionally stayed away from those. So this one's on the list. Another one, Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I'm holding a special edition, right? You're like, Rebecca, clearly you wanted to read this. You went for out for a special edition. Who does that if you're not going to read the book? Me. I do that. I was so excited to see probably Smut put out these editions again. I missed the first round. I wasn't a part of the book club. I had been sitting on the wait list forever. And then when I finally got added onto it, literally like 2 months later, they're like, hey, we have back stock that we're going to put back out, but also we have new stock. So I got this and Wildfire, and I'm going to read both of them very soon, I hope. I'm a huge hockey romance fan, so I'm hoping that this one works for me. But I've heard that from just friends of mine and their recommendations, they're not 100% sure how I'm going to react to this, but they think I'm going to love Wildfire. So we'll see how it goes. And then I'm hoping to dip my toe into something slightly horrific. This is We Spread by Ian Reid. He wrote I'm Thinking of Ending Things and Foe. I had an okay time with I'm Thinking of Ending Things, but I absolutely loved Foe. So I'm hoping that this one hits a spot for me. This follows a woman who I think her name is Penny, and she's been having a lot of incidents and accidents in her home. So she gets put into a I think assisted living facility, and as she's there, her memories start to go. And you're looking at me and you're like, Rebecca, that just sounds like dementia or Alzheimer's, but Penny's not so sure. And that might be the scariest thing of all. These next three books are incredibly popular. I mean, the ones I talked about just now have had their popularity in their own right, but these three in particular were finalists for things like Target, Barnes and Noble, Amazon's Books of the Year. One of them was a Book of the Year for multiple of those stores. And I'm just excited to dive into them. I intentionally waited for the hype to kind of die down a little bit for people to stop talking about them because I didn't want like the recency bias or just the chatter to really get into my head for them. So they are The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride, None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell, and The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. I'm excited for all three of these, two of which are in the mystery thriller genre, which I've been trying to read more of. And I also have been trying to read more lit fic, and that's where Mr. James McBride comes in. I haven't read a single one of his books before, which honestly feels a little bit like a sin. He seems to be really incredible. I've watched a few of his interviews over the last year or so, and he just seems like such a interesting and unique guy. He's also a jazz musician, which is really awesome. And I think some of that comes into his stories. I heard excellent praise for Deacon King Kong, and I had it on my TBR for the longest time. And for whatever reason, I just didn't pick it up. I think part of it, actually, I initially got it confused with one of S.A. Cosby's books. And then I read S.A. Cosby and thought, oh, I finally have read this. And then I realized, like, no, no, those are by two very different people. So I'm excited to dive into this. I believe there's some magical realism here. This is another story where I just didn't even look at the synopsis. I didn't want to know. And I'm hoping that that works out in my favor. For those of you who don't know, for Thursday Murder Club, this follows a group of retirees who I think initially come together for a book club, but then one of their own ends up dead and they decide to investigate themselves because they don't think the police are doing what they need to, which, surprise, surprise, you see an elderly person who's died and you maybe think it's natural causes and they just kind of write it off. This is a 4 or 5 book series now and there's a movie coming out. So I figure this is the best time to dive in and see what's going on with this. And then for None of This Is True, it is one of my favorite thriller microtropes, which is a podcast inside of a thriller. I absolutely love that aspect and that it's becoming kind of a regular thing because I think it's a really fun way for an author to dig into the potential elements of a crime or a circumstance that happens without it feeling like a big info dump to us as the reader, but then they still get to do that in a way that is unique and allows them to explore different ways of storytelling. This one follows a podcaster, and the potential antagonist is another woman that is I think the exact same age. I know they share the same birthday, but I don't know if it's the same year. And that woman just has like this absolutely wild story, and the podcaster goes on this journey with her. And I've just heard there are so many twists and turns. I can't wait. So those are all of the books I'm hoping to get to this May. I would love to hear your thoughts on them in the comments, or if you have any recommendations for me based off the things I've said that I've liked, and tell me what you're going to be reading this month. And with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. Give this video a like, subscribe, share it with a friend, and I will see you in another video soon. Bye.